So, I want to let everyone know Stephen had something come up, so I got a little notice he's not coming.
Mhm.
So, just you're free to move about the cabin if you're here to hang out with him, and no, no shame, no blame. And we can always just see what's going to happen with the people that are gathered.
Of course. Hmm. Um, I was wondering if anybody's ever looked into Thomas Berry's work. Uh,
Don't know who that is.
you do?
No.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I'm at my parents' place and I was trying to make it to this conversation mostly for certain things about Stephen. So I guess
Oh, you
I'm
can
gonna be
say it's a pair. You just wanted to hang out with Stephen. It's fine.
yeah. All right.
See you
Take
later.
care. Bye.
Bye.
There's Philip.
Hey, Philip, I just told everyone Steven's not coming. He's had something come up.
Do you still want to be with us?
We're taking a poll. You're muted.
But he just left. They were just, here to talk to.
Hello.
Hey,
I
Philip.
just want to be with you.
Oh, that
Ew.
feels so
Well,
good.
I just introduced Thomas Berry's work, and he talks about us as a communion of subjects. And basically he integrates or he comes from nature, and his work is very, very popular, not popular, but interesting. And I just wonder if anybody else had read him and understood that, what he was proposing.
Can you
I'm
say it
more-
again, Linda?
His name is Thomas Berry, and I got in touch with his work when I was in North Carolina, and he was about 30 minutes from me, and I went to visit him. And somebody has started a whole community there based on him and his work, and it's about connection with nature, but he calls it not just with nature, but the whole as a communion of subjects, the communion of subjects. And I kind of like that translation of what's happening here on Earth. So I'm just throwing that out there if that touches anything with anybody or anybody knows more about his work.
The excuse me. The main thing that comes up for me is that I'm not really sure what he means, what he
Mhm.
specifically means by communion, and I don't know, I don't have any context at all for what he means by subject, because subject could be
Subjects. We're the subjects, and the earth is the subject, is a subject. Each plant is a subject, and communion, the word I use for it is collaboration, that it's already happening, the
right.
collaborative.
But you were asking about some kind of interpretation of that particular phrase, and I was just reflecting that I feel like I don't have enough context
Yeah, well,
to give
I
it any kind of
really
looking.
don't want an interpretation, but I just am throwing it out there if it hits a nerve with anybody, or if anybody's looked at his work.
I'm more than happy with communion as long as you are my subjects. I just want you to know I'm the king here and you are my subjects. So I'm great. That's a great communion. I'm happy with it.
I think he's using it as subject in the sense of instead of objects. Subject, object. But I liked what you said, Philip. I'll be your
I know
subject.
you do.
I will be your subject. If I had something that in one paragraph described it, but I've misplaced it. So, but someone else may have another topic.
There isn't enough context in that, but the essence seems to be a movement towards some ideal state where we're all one, we're all in harmony, we're all collaborating. Yeah, I like that, but I'm not convinced anymore that alone it's not sufficient. It may be necessary, but it's not sufficient. I feel there has to be more honesty, and we have to be able to. I have to look where I don't want to look, and that is everything that is disharmonious, that is fragmenting, that is breakaway. Everything that fragments, I think, is. I have to look at it. If there's no communion without seeing the fragmenting nature or that I am, I think that's deeply united, unitary, unitive. Is that a word? Unitive, uniting. Yeah, you could say that in better ways, but I'm really convinced that it's much more unitary, which is contrary to really look at the fragmentation. But why do that? It's boring. Let's just be harmonious and love each other.
What if we're being formed by everything we contact today, even every thought? What if we're being formed by our connection with everything?
Why is that a what if?
It's a question that I had written on this as we recover our awareness of the universe as a communion of subjects, we're recovering it. It's not like we are it. A new interior experience awakens within the human. The barriers disappear as enlargement of the soul takes place. The excitement evoked by natural phenomena is renewed, dawn and sunset, sights, sounds, tastes, feel of the natural world. All of this could be continued in a never-ending list of experiences that have been lost to large segments of the human community in recent centuries. Not because the phenomena do not surround us continuously, but because we have become locked into ourselves, as though large segments of the human mind have been paralyzed. So I think it's saying a similar thing to what we're studying, yet gives a different perspective. We are, based on our mind, we've lost the connection with everything. And some of our, I guess you would say, that's really branded us as a human community. What's happened to our human community based on what we talk about a lot, the mind and how it operates in separation. So I think the communion of subjects is like, okay, saying the same thing we've been saying, only in a different way. We're all in this together. Everything is connected, interconnected.
What I'm hearing is we all paralyzed.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not sure where you got we all connected from out of that.
What'd you say? Say that again.
Not sure how you got we all connected out of him saying that we're all paralyzed and we can't be connected. Paralyzed.
And anyway, this group has translated that into camps for children who just come out in nature and connect, create. That came from his evening thoughts, Thomas Berry's evening thoughts.
Well, I think there's an interesting point there between what's been said, Linda, Mark, Philip, is that there's this inclination to, like Philip, you were saying about like looking at what you don't want to look at. And the question is, and then, you know, are we paralyzed, or, you know, like what are we bringing to that looking? Right. So if the looking at what we don't want to look at is a looking to include that somehow, as opposed to solve it or make it go away or anything like that, then that kind of takes us out of that paralyzed place, right? Because the lack of being able to engage something feels like that paralyzed place, right? So the more we can look at what we're not seeing and really bring it into some kind of you know, acceptance or acknowledgement or whatever, that I think helps restore that harmony that you were talking about, Philip. So we can't separate ourselves into harmony.
Mm.
Yeah, I have an exclusive harmony.
Yeah,
You
you
have
have we each have a kind of our own very own harmony, right?
Yeah, you have to. I have a dress code as well. You've got to be dressed right to come into my harmonious club. We go into nature in this club, and we eat ecological food. So, are you in or you're out?
I can't be out because I'm in communication with you and it affects me. We're in together. We're connected forever, Philip.
Well, we are. That's the reality.
And yes. And
But we're not, as Mark was saying. We're effed and we're ineffable. So
we're what?
we're effed and we're ineffable. That was the last week, wasn't it?
I forgot about that.
I heard it definitely. We're fucked and we're free.
I was digging into something this morning that to me feels related to what's being talked about. I was trying to, was interested in what's called the truth and reconciliation process. And so I was looking for things like with Rwanda after the genocide, of how was that done? How did it work? And what I'm finding is, so far, it doesn't seem to have done anything at all. Where you have these two groups, I can understand how it built up, but the Hutu and the Tutsis, mainly through efforts from the outside of colonialization and Christian missionaries and Catholic missionaries, of supporting one group or the other, build it into these fake ethnic differences. And I had understood it that through the truth and reconciliation of those massacres, that something had emerged where people were able to get back into their communities, of finding a way after this great division to come back together. But what I'm finding is that didn't happen. That it was just more and more levels of one side gets power and starts killing the other side. And now it's spread, well, it's spread for quite some time into the Congo. And that struggle where it's just people in refugee camps come out of those camps and kill the other people, and then those people go into new refugee camps. Anyway, it's left me feeling very, very sad that there's no hope. And I don't like being sad, feeling there's no hope. So maybe somebody can clean me up. A little truth and reconciliation, maybe.
Well, actually, when I hear that what you speak about, or like any other major conflict right now in the world, I don't have so much hope neither. So I feel the spiritual people, I mean, of course it's the truth that we are the same, or that we are one, or that we are all humans, and the truth often is that most people don't have no connection to that kind of view. They function a lot out of, in this case, what you speak about, they function out of revenge. Yeah. So revenge is I mean, I can see it in myself. Yeah. In like in smaller things, that this urge to get even, or to be right, and so on. It's even in my place where I'm pretty well off, it's still pretty strong. Yeah. Or today I talked with somebody, actually we have a very nice relationship, but then we hit the topic of Corona, yeah, of COVID. And you could really see how all the spiritual piece went, yeah, pretty fast. So so for I don't know, for the majority of the humanity, I don't have so much hope. I just hope that they don't succeed in killing us all. Yeah.
Well,
I'm very glad that I'm so far away right now from any major conflict zone. Yeah.
well, I wonder why I would want hope, or why we want hope.
Why we want whole?
Hope.
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 Okay.
Hope.
Mm.
Isn't it simply because we want safety, security?
Well, what is it that we think hope is? What's your definition of hope, Gil?
Mine?
For anyone?
Oh, yeah, I want to be part of something that is good, promoting a wholeness, being a part of the whole instead of destroying. And I have my own belief that, yeah, we can do better than the destructive parts of humanity and individually. And I hope that's true, but I'm not so sure it is. And if that's not true, then maybe just stopping the experiment is a good idea. And I don't like that because I'm biased. It's like this group of people right here. Everybody in this gathering is a good person. And together, I think we're doing good things. And how can that spread instead of getting snuffed out?
Yeah, I feel that's true. Yeah, that we are really here. We are really nice people. Yeah, and actually that's so strange for me. Most of the people are pretty nice. Yeah. Even those who are maybe are in the opposite camp. Yeah.
Mhm.
On just any kind of topic, but still everybody is still actually a very nice being. Not all of them, yeah, but somehow for instance, in groups, I have the feeling that somehow the worst can come through very fast, even then in individuals who are pretty nice. Yeah.
Well,
Yes,
Mark, to your point, the definitely the security and the security, it we need it for survival. But hope, it seems that we've been doing hope for a long time already, and this is the outcome of hope, it seems.
well, we had the hope of civilization, and I just read a book recently about Yugoslavia and the conflict in the 1990s. People that lived in the same village together, people who were neighbors, uh, started pushing each other into concentration camps and genocide. These are our own people, these are Europeans, these are nice people. I think it's good to bring it this way. I mean, I don't think I'm a good person. In thinking that I'm a nice person, I've come to realize that niceness is not real. It's just a learned behavior that it gets me through the day. I'm polite. I don't upset people. There's a huge amount that probably needs to be said. I probably need to destroy a few things to make it real. And I look at my own life and I think of all the destruction, and I think, well, who am I to say whether that was good or bad? Uh, I'm not happy to settle with the idea that I'm good or nice without saying that, well, these are all facades and edifices and consensus realities, and I'm happy to say, no, we could turn into Yugoslavia any minute. I think there's a place for not hopelessness, but this is someone who said to me, they said, hopeless. Don't be hopeless, just hope less. These things happen, just hope less. Right? So why hope? Like Renee's saying, why hope? Why not just look very strongly at all the possibilities and then see what happens when we look at it directly? And I mean, I know that the seeds of world destruction are in my heart. I've destroyed many things already, and I'm a nice person.
Well, doesn't this go back to what we were talking about? The large segments of the human mind have become paralyzed, when actually, and then on the opposite end of a spiritual approach, I am pure awareness. I'm not the body, I'm pure awareness, and this body is activated. So it looks like the communion of subjects has been so tainted by our loss of connectedness through our feeble mind that it looks like we're separate and fighting each other. And we can join the fight as our separate self, or maybe this communion on a deeper level will have more impact. Not just with each
Right.
other, nature.
What kind of impact would you like to see? Surely these are prejudices. I mean, connection could lead to anything. A connection, our differences, friction.
Yeah.
So, is there an ideal world where connection equals bliss? I don't know. I think that's what we're looking at, isn't it? Or is there some way of meeting each other?
I like what you just said. There's some way of meeting each other. In my community, I attempted civil discourse where we didn't connect. Everybody just got 3 minutes to say in a nice way what they wanted to say. And then I tried common ground, and that became a battle. People just didn't come if they disagreed with the other side. So my next word is collaboration, meaning we look for, there is a win-win for everybody.
But that's a very rational process, isn't it?
Collaboration is synthesis. A lot of businesses use it in order to actually, yeah, it's you have to let go of thinking you're right and you know something. Hey, that's kind of similar to what we're talking about. You let go of the mental process and express, and then the communication comes, the communication itself brings about a synthesis that can become a win-win for all. So that's just in the, like if you set up a meeting and did that, but it could be happening throughout each of our days.
Well, I'm noticing and having a wondering or pondering about what is actually the quality of our looking? What is actually the energetic expression of our communication and our connection? Because I feel like that has a more fundamental role in a way, even than what we call it or how we describe it or those kinds of things. So if the quality of hope, which to me is just like a positive relationship with uncertainty, as opposed to a avoidance of uncertainty, like an acceptance of uncertainty is what I would call hope. And if I bring that to my expressions, if I bring that to my words and how I'm being in the world, then that feels like it could set up a certain resonance or a certain field connection that would be available.
Well, I like this definition, a positive relationship with uncertainty. I mean, this is good. Yeah.
Because we can't really know, we can't really control, right? I mean, we think we can, right? We think we can, decide that things should be more harmonious and, do everything we can to keep everything in order and, not
Yeah,
destroy.
you just need the right process, Alex.
There's a lot of people peddling process. I'll agree with you there.
Well,
And I
well, I-
suppose if one works for you, then great, knock yourself out.
I have a definition of hope, but this is a completely different view. It's one that it blows my mind because it's beyond what I consider to be hope. For me, inside hope is something positive. Yeah, so that's what I kind of connected when you said a positive relationship with uncertainty. Yeah? And so this man here, he says, the awareness that there are no exceptions to the natural laws which govern the cosmos and that these laws are completely objective, operating as an interconnected unity. The highest law is the totality of reality itself. Certitude in the objectivity and total applicability of those laws is true hope.
Hmm.
What I understand here is I don't understand. Yeah, but it has a kind of, for me, it has a ring of truth to it, because it's kind of different than what I would expect. Yeah. So here he speaks about laws that govern the universe, and that these are objective, or that they are there. They are just there, and they are governing the universe, and the certitude in the objectivity, also that they are objective, and also that they are applicable. That is true hope.
Hmm.
What do you make of this? So that.
Well, when I hear that, I feel like it puts it off of me. It puts it
Okay.
off of my view, because I can just give it over, like it's, everything's fine, right? It's all going to work out, which I don't know if that's real or not.
To me, it raises a question of who defines what those objective rules of the universe are.
Yeah, well, I know this is kind of odd. This is mostly the first objective that comes, yeah, the first who defines. But I think what is stated here is that there are objective laws to the cosmos, but there's certainly not a human who decides what it is. Huh?
Or can even discern what it is. I mean, if we're really talking about the universe, we're talking about something pretty enormous.
And also it is kind of beyond good and bad, and beyond harmony and disharmony, and beyond being nice and beyond not being nice. But I don't really, if I see that definition, I always ask myself, so what is the hope? I mean, because I have a different idea of hope than this man who said this. Yeah. I know that he was a wise man, so that's why I kind of consider this. Yeah. So I reckon him to be a wise man. And so he has some insight into truth, which I don't have. And so this is why I like to read these definitions of in this case, one of the holy ideas, which is hope. Yeah.
So I'm curious, Boris, why you feel you don't have any insight to truth.
To truth.
Well, I may be paraphrasing what you just said,
yeah.
But I, whatever that is that you feel like this man has that you don't have.
Well, I feel that my insights are very, very more kind of focused to my little world. Yeah. I mean, I don't feel I have so much wisdom. I mean, I have some, but I would never like talk about the cosmos or about objective laws. I would never do that, but I still like to read about it.
I would call you very wise for not speaking about the cosmos and universal laws and things like that, because I would say anybody's guess,
Yeah.
How true is that, though? I think if Boris revealed and disclosed his small world more, he would open up the entire cosmos. He would open up the world to me. He would shed light on my own experience just through Boris seeing inside the invisible, making visible what's in him, because it's not his small world. That's just an illusion. Boris is the world. And if Boris could speak from that place, then the world will know itself, because Boris is not separate from anyone else.
Is that really your experience?
Yeah. The more I realize that when I'm particularly, so I'll bring it close, I'm faced with challenging behaviors, others and my own, it's not personal. If these are all, it's all aspects of being human, and I realize that my small world is definitely reflected in the macro. All of it, Palestine, Russia. I was in France looking at Napoleon and European armies, and I thought, my God, this is my biography. The whole of human development is a mirror.
Yeah.
But Boris insists that he's a small world, as does Philip. And I think that's the problem. We've been sold, we've been gaslighted into thinking we need priests, experts, psychologists, and all sorts of people who would tell us how it is, rather than looking directly at what's going on in and between us. That we can reveal the riddles that we cannot possibly unravel in macro affairs, but here we can, starting with Boris. I have faith in Boris. That's my hope anyway.
And I think you just described this sentence that we were looking at. As we recover our awareness of the universe as a communion of subjects, a new interior experience awakens within the human. An enlargement of soul takes place.
But I like holy ideas. They're like sweets. Like, I could just take one and suck on it, and I can taste good. Holy ideas. They just really lift my taste buds. It gives me an experience, much like watching Netflix.
Then you are pure awareness. Is that a good one?
Yeah, I love that one. That's my favorite one. Yeah.
Yes.
It's an eternal gobstopper, that one.
That's eternal.
Well, at that moment, usually Stephen starts talking about when the woman does not love him anymore. So what happens to pure awareness then?
It's an illusion. That's an illusion. If you're pure,
the angry woman, or
the barking dog.
the barking dog, or the man in that Sir Per talked about, the man in the shop.
wasn't that the idea of the separate self when you talk about those things?
Yeah, the idea of the separate self. Yeah, I think it's very difficult to remember that I'm not a separate self.
It is, isn't it? Over and over.
Absolutely.
And that's why I've been reading this passages over and over during the day. Then I'll just laugh. Then I'm not responsible for everything that happens.
Yeah, I'm quite sure I can think my way through to unity. I'm keeping at it. I'm going to keep going. I'm quite happy with this addiction.
You're quite happy with what? Addiction?
Yeah, my addiction to thinking and holy sweets, holy ideas.
Yeah. So, yeah. It's the way to start, isn't it? That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's a good insight, no? Addiction to thinking.
Yeah.
That's a good insight.
And this guy's talking about just being in nature to heal that addiction to thinking. Fresh air, the wind, the trees blowing, the natural world.
I don't
Is
know.
there-
I think people commit heinous acts when they're camping.
Well, of course, I'm not saying that's you just go camping and it's cured. Some people go camping and they don't connect with nature. You know, it's a conscious act of connecting with nature, even.
Some people go camping and bring a television.
And bring it, oh, yeah.
I mean, I've seen it, you know. It's like,
But I've laid beside open window at night when it wasn't so hot, and I was laying in my bed and I couldn't sleep and whatever. And I came beside the open window and took a few deep, I had to. The air was coming in and I went right to sleep. You know, it's like something's going on out there that when we stay in our house all day, it doesn't. Or go jump in the ocean and float on a wave.
well, I think there is quite a bit of magic in nature, but I'm not sure that it's the prescription or the answer, because I mean, like you can be in nature and not notice nature, or you can be in the boardroom and notice everything that's happening around you.
Yes, I agree totally.
So to me, it has more of a, again, going back to where am I looking from? You know, am I looking from out there is going to give me something? Or am I looking from an inner experience of what's happening?
How can you separate the two, nature and inner experience? I mean, it works for me. It may be somebody else needs to listen to music or look at beautiful photographs.
I'm just saying it almost doesn't matter, Linda. You can listen to music, look at beautiful photographs, go out to nature, be in traffic, you know, fight with your neighbor. What, you know, all of it is available.
But most of it's just reduced to managing states of mind, or if I do this, I get that experience. It's just input output. It's just some sort of
I agree. It
resolution.
just happened to me in nature, you know, so I'm passing that along. So I agree.
And do you feel it a victim of the input output, Philip?
A
No,
victim.
You know,
misunderstood.
like at the effect of, do you feel at the effect of the input output?
I'm not sure I follow you. What do you mean by that? The victim of it?
Well,
Oh, I
you
see.
were saying
At
that
the
it's like,
mercy of it.
yeah.
No, the more I become aware, particularly in romantic relationships, when I realize that I'm not necessarily seeing the other person. I am just, or even here, I'm looking for an experience. I'm
Right.
simply obsessed with my own state of mind. The more I see that, yes, the more disturbed I am. My God, how is this possible to ever have a genuine connection? And I think the more I see it, the more genuine my connections are becoming.
What happens if you drop from your mind into your presence of what's happening?
Well, it seems that as long as I want things to change, there's no actual interaction with what's there or something.
Right.
Whatever that means.
Yes, Renee. When you're not looking for an outcome.
Or the fight with the outcome you're getting.
Yeah, when I'm not simply managing my states of mind and using everything around me to do so.
It's a lot
I
of
mean, a lot of me is only really interested in my experience and how you figure into it. Whether you are positive in that or negative, for me or against me, whether you are helping or hindering.
Can you drop that?
I don't think the one talking can drop that. I'm full of prejudices and biases and distortions and restrictions. that I see more and more clearly in the movement of action and relationship. So I think, Alex, you know, my hope is in the point of looking, how the quality of looking, being able to.
To your point, Alex, I think when you're pointing at Philip is what's actually going on, because that's actually taking place instead of trying to change that or skip it over or something.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm aware that everyone else is doing the same thing. And is that a problem? Is it a fight for survival, or is compassion arising? You know, what's going on? And I between struggle and surrender. I mean, there's a place for struggle sometimes. I don't know if struggle is the right word, but when you're you know, when you're dealing with teenagers who could hurt themselves or one another, then my ideas of harmony, I think, no, my ideas of harmony are not helping me because I end up reacting. You're told.
I can relate to that. And it's a great awareness that that's what I'm doing, reacting. And then, no. Well, it's a business right now for me of letting go of thinking I can control things or anybody. I can communicate with them actively, but I can't do anything about it. I can't tell them what to do. I can just communicate. So I really relate to what you're saying. This is a whole new ball game for me.
So
I was kind of hoping.
where are you with hope, Gil?
Oh. um, letting it be more. It seems we can. Yeah, all of this is true of what I'm hearing, and Philip is presenting that part of wanting to be in charge of changing things. It's like, I think you're playing a role for us in that, because that's not all of you by any means. And I guess I got into thinking of what are these rules of the universe, and and I guess we all kind of see something and decide, that must be it. And what I'm thinking is that everything is in the rule of the universe, that things are more than one thing at a time. Maybe they're everything at the same time. Destruction and creation go together. I mean, it's nothing personal when two stars bump into each other and blow up. Then something else comes. And I do still have this bias of this experiment, this universal experiment of life and humanity and me. I want it to be good, whatever good may be.
There's
So
a
is that, so I
phrase.
guess I've avoided your question once again.
There's a phrase called destructive creation
Oh yeah,
or
seems
creative
to
destruction.
happen. Seems to happen everywhere all the time.
What if it's already good?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I kind of like the universe. I'm glad it's here.
I think the TV, social media, and all of these new communication channels also just, paint a continuous picture to us of it being all distraction and badness. And
Mhm.
like I think, I think Gil's saying is that, we inevitably find ourselves in a duality, and that means there's got to be, if there's good, there's got to be bad. I mean, it's like you can't have one and not the other. It's just, that's the law of the universe, I spend a lot of time just seeing my two twin girls who live a very blessed life, just in all ways. And for them, life's good, true, and beautiful. There's no, I mean, they drive past sort of very, what you would know as a ghetto or shantyville just down the road. They see, the bin pickers, but on the whole, it doesn't seem to blur their vision too much. So yeah, I think we can try and regain some of that that sort of fresh way of seeing the world. That would be quite helpful. But Gil, just one last thing from me. We also had a truth and reconciliation process here. I grew up in apartheid South Africa, and everyone was lovely. Well, so it seemed. Everyone was very nice, and even black people who were the oppressed, everyone was nice to each other. It was the most weird situation to be in. In fact, the news was very censored. So, I could quite easily grow up thinking that this was all just normal. This is how things are, people with black skins go and live over there, and we live here, and they work for us, and it just all seemed perfectly normal, unless someone points it out to you and says, look, this is absurd, this is not how things should be. But there's no one pointing it out. Then that's just your comfort zone in your world, and it works for you, and you take it for granted. And then they had the Truth and Reconciliation Committee process, where some of the guys who committed heinous crimes in apartheid and killed lots of people would actually meet with the families. And if it was assessed that they were making a genuine, sincere apology, heartfelt apology, and it was accepted by the family, then that was sort of considered. There weren't charges put against these people if they came and did that. So there were a few guys who didn't do that. But on the whole, a lot of criminals walked away, and I'm not, I think it may have helped the families, but I don't think it helped the society as a whole, because the society didn't all go and say sorry to each other. So it was this localized thing. It was almost like the heat of it was taken out, but the water still stayed warm. If like the heating element was taken out, but the water was still warm. And I still think it's that it hasn't cooled down. It keeps. I think it's enough to just sweep a bit of things under the carpet and carry on, and everyone can shake themselves off and move forward. But it wasn't a societal level reconciliation. There's no way about that. Yeah.
You said it had cooled things down on the individual level, but that ended up not spreading out through society as a whole. Did it for a while seem to be cooling down and then it burned up again? It's like that heating element may be reignited again. Is that?
Yeah, look, I think it's Some of it's been legislated now. So if you say the wrong thing, you'll be in trouble. So there's laws. Back to Boris, you know. There's the laws that, you know, some people say some stupid things on social media, and they go to the equality. There's a court they go to, and you know, I mean, you can really affect your career and everything. Get shamed, almost public shaming, you know. Sorry, I feel like I'm rambling a bit. I don't know if I'm answering your question. But yeah, I mean, I think it was a very, and always has been a very integrated society on many levels. So I don't think it'll, and even now there's this talk of a national dialogue, and there's like a government of national unity where, you know, I mean, you would have seen in Trump's office when our president met them, there was a white agricultural minister there, and you know, then a lot of white guys standing around, and it was like a unified. It's quite a deep unity in the society, and I think that it's quite remarkable, actually, the level of unity that there is, considering the 25% of the country's going to bed hungry tonight, you know. So I don't know what keeps the lid on and why it doesn't blow off, but there just is. I'm saying I don't know, but what there is there is this sense of unity, for sure, amongst all groups. But then again, now and again, it'll blow up, you know. There'll be.
I'm seeing an image of a
It
pot of
doesn't speak-
water where you have these little bubbles of boiling start appearing. And sometimes looking at a pot of water that's at that state, I wonder, where did it come from? Because it seems like the bubble just appears out of nothing and
Yeah.
then breaks up. So that's what I'm seeing from what you're saying. That it's calm and then little bursts of energy coming up.
Yeah, but on the whole bucket isn't boiling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fear of all of ours, of course, that it will, you know. It's a massive fear. You know, I think subliminally everyone, at least white people in society, I think, will express that fear, you know. But again, it's back to their safety, security, comfort, lifestyle, you know, that they fear losing, yeah.
Whoops. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jill.
Thank
Thank you.